Hello, we are back, ready to do get another star on Mary's Mantle. It's Mary Mantle Consecration, and it's 46 days, and we are on day 32. And today's star, I'm sure everybody needs a little more of, which is discipline. Rules of training are equally valid for athletes as they are for the spirit. Swim 50 laps, someone calls out to you. Not happening, you shout back. But you begin slowly at first, doing very little and finding yourself quickly out of breath. You continue over time, advancing week after week, adding more speed, developing greater endurance and capacity. Then one day it happens. You wake up and have little to no difficulty doing what once seemed impossible. All of us carry within our genetic code and our soul's core, unique spiritual capacities and divine talents, which may today be asleep or perhaps atrophied, but tomorrow may bloom. When we exercise our innate gifts in prayer and action, our attraction and desire for God awakens, and the Lord becomes more and more our satisfaction and our all. Everything comes alive. Sacraments are no longer stale rituals and empty sayings, but spiritual banquets. Chastity is no longer unhealthy repression from mysterious fulfillment. Daily duties, be they of God or no longer meaningless drudgery, but a mission. The Beatitudes no longer absurd paradoxes, but deep wells of wisdom and fulfillment. When I do not train my spirit to swim with God, he is at best an empty word, a Mr. Nobody, at worst, a dark and foreboding sea. But when I plunge into his living waters, God becomes someone. The deeper I dive and the further I swim, the more the mystery of his love envelopes and enraptures me. I begin in a dark room. I see nothing. I decide to strike a match in prayerful supplication. I kneel at my bedside. Tired and distraught, I push myself to attend morning mass, tempted by fleeting pleasures of the world. I beg Jesus to live and breathe in me. My small light brightens. Suddenly, a colorful picture is revealed on the wall. Light flickers and dances across the corner of a table. A chandelier sparkles above me. In time, I find more and more ways to bring greater light into the room. One day, I look around and gasp. Oh, the room is beautiful, so beautiful. Did the room change? No, it was the same as it had always been and always will be. But as I stepped into the light of God's presence, new perspectives and shapes and sights, all previously unknown to me, began to appear. Not all saints, prophets, and martyrs were exceptional beings because they were born into the world that way. Many of them had to maintain a relentless struggle in their process of sanctification. Through their efforts, the law of attraction between masses was fulfilled. The greater their proximity to the light of God, the greater the velocity between the two. The closer we get to union with the divine, so grows God's attraction, his seduction, and our desire. The beautiful room never changed. It never will, but I can. Wow.
Was that amazing?
That's
You
a
know,
good one.
the first thing that occurred to me was what we learned in the case for Jesus. Paul commands Timothy Train yourself in godliness, for while bodily training is of some value, godliness is of value in every way, as it holds promise for the present life and also for the life to come. I'll put this in the bottom. And the words Paul uses for, quote, training in these verses are the Greek words gymnazo, gymnasia, respectively. The Greek term gymnazo can be defined as exercising vigorously either the mind or the body. From this Greek word, we get the English term gymnasium. Training the body requires self-denial, discipline, and sacrifice. Paul often uses the imagery of physical training to describe what it means to live the Christian life. Look up the following passages. How do they compare to the pursuit of righteousness with physical training? Using athletic language and self-discipline, 1 Corinthians 9:24 through 26, and 2 Timothy 2 through 5. So this is episode 2 in A Case for Jesus by Brant Petrie, Jeanette's favorite author. So I'm going to put all that down below and the link, and just say, this reading, wow. And also sanctity, I'm going to put the definition below of that. So the second part of this that really stood out to me was that when I went through that crime that I went through, my dark night of the soul, that, which I'll put dark night of the soul below, that was the time where no distraction of television or of joy was available to my mind, because I was in survival mode. When you're in survival mode, you turn to God because you know you need him then, because you're just drowning in fear of whatever it is that is threatening you. So when you go through your dark night of the soul, which everyone does, whether it's going through a trauma or a reliving experiences from traumatic childhood or a current trauma, whatever, abuse of some sort, you only focus on God. You can't even be comforted by any earthly consolations. You only God can fill that. So every little thing that I saw around me I noticed God was speaking to me in one way or another. And it often happens through nature. One of the times was a rainbow, and I was going into Walmart, and a picture showed up that related to my experience, what was going on. And that's when we notice God during our struggles. And when they mentioned the saints, I thought, it's true. What do we always say, Jeanette? Offer that suffering up. Now that suffering's over, of course, it's easier for me to offer that up. At the time, I just, my pain was so
That's
bad.
a form of mortification,
Which is the next
that's
thing.
coming up. Yeah.
Yes.
So I never knew this. I'm a cradle Catholic, but I never knew this, that you do that you suffer in this world, and you offer it up. You offer your suffering, and you unite it with God's suffering on the cross, because that's what
Mary's suffering.
And Mary's, especially us as mothers, we totally relate with Mary. I totally relate with her so
Me
much.
too.
When you suffer for your children,
Yes.
for things that they don't know they're doing to you, and it hurts so much, and you just have to say, okay, Lord, I give this, Mary, I give this, and I unite it with your suffering, for all the souls in purgatory, or for all those babies that were not born that should have been born, or
Right.
for whatever, or you offer it up,
And for those women who can't have children, you can offer it up for that too.
exactly, for any intention.
And every pain that your child goes through, as a mother, you're going through it with them. When my kids are in pain, it literally hurts my heart as if I'm going through it with them. And that's why I think when my kids call me and they're going through something, like I would with my mom, we're very close emotionally, my kids and I, and my mom and I were. And when we give advice to our kids, once we recognize that spiritual tool, like training and those things, everything we learn, we can then help them see, which helps them bring them to God, so that when you're not here, you have them. Like my mom said to me, when I'm gone, I'm not, your mother will turn to you, will be Mary. And so I say the same thing to my kids. When I had cancer and I thought, I'm going to go, I got to prepare them. I got to prepare them. And then I thought of what my mom said. I have to point them to Mary and Jesus. And that's what we have to do with our kids. In case we're not around, they're going to have the best advice from, once every time they come to you and you give them that advice, when you're not there, they will know where to look to find it. Now, I always tell my kids I'm doing these videos and I hope that you will listen one day, and they all say they will. They don't have time now, but they will. You know the old thing. I don't have time now to study God. But the more we get, the older we get, the more we study. Like your little mini me is studying. Like my Joey was studying last summer. So, I mean, for 20, no, he was 20 or 21 at that time. I guess 20 or 21, but like that shocked me and I was so grateful. But anyway,
Yeah,
so that was good.
discipline is very important in our lives because it's so easy to stray. Like I have I was very disciplined. I've been straying lately. I've been
It happens
going
all the time. You get
off
back
track.
up.
We all do, but we need to remember God is pulling me back with these words, yesterday's, today's. I tend to stray. I'm going through, we all go through little trials in our life that we need to kind of get our attention out of what's going on. And we kind of,
Suffering does it.
everybody has their thing they do. I like to watch K-dramas. So sometimes I overdo it, and I spend all day, and it go day after day after day goes by, and that's all I want to do. But
It's
I
an addiction.
still, you need the discipline to say, okay, I gotta go to mass. Okay, I can do it. I don't work. My mom sleeps till noon, so I don't need to be around till noontime for her. I can go to 8:30 mass. We stopped doing 2 readings so that the time opens up for me to do this.
That's right.
But yet I don't. I need to. Today I have to, because today I do the rosary, because the first Monday of the month I do the rosary. But
But habits. You
it becomes
build
a
up that
habit. A good discipline also is a good habit. And
That's
some
right.
of us love routines. I'm a creature of routine. I like it. I mean, I go to a restaurant, I eat the same thing every time I go to the restaurant.
You
I
gotta
like my
stop going to
routine.
restaurants.
Huh?
You gotta stop going to restaurants.
Yeah, I stopped going because I
Good.
need discipline that I
Good.
can't eat out, because I trying to,
Self-denial. It
yeah,
says
trying to
self-denial.
save money. Yeah.
That's what St. Paul is talking about, self-denial. And
Yeah. I
speaking of
can't even go to movies anymore, guys. That's why you guys see I haven't been posting movie days. I love going to the movies with the girls, but I can't afford it anymore. So
right. Well, yeah, you're waiting for a wedding too, but prayer practice is another discipline that doing the rosary, like I do the Saint Bridget, and I'm now incorporating the angel things. It takes time to build a prayer practice, and not only do you have to do each of those, but you need now I'm doing the Lectio Divina, and I'm already falling off of that. Even though I was excited, I learned so much
Because you
about it.
can't
I had
pack it
all
on
my
too much either. See, we're human and we think, oh, the more we do, oh, the holier we're gonna
yeah,
be. You
we
know,
get that spiritual gluttony.
yes, we'll reach sainthood right away. You know, we think,
Yeah.
no,
Well,
sometimes you can overdo it, you can overpack your day. And then when God is trying to speak to you in between your crazy going back and forth, um, he can't speak to you. You can't, you can't answer your yes. You can't help your friend because you're busy going somewhere, doing something, so it's important that we can balance and have discipline. So back to our
yeah,
words,
our
discipline.
distractions and our food and all those things, our addictions, our
Oh
distractions and
yeah.
addictions keep us from God. It blinds us, but our suffering, as in the dark night of the soul, it elevates us quickly, which is why they say don't push suffering away, embrace it, because what's going to happen is it's going to bring about your sanctification, Jeanette, your mortification. It elevates you quicker. You go from one level to another, because that is where I was able to start hearing God again, was suffering. So sometimes our addictions and our distractions cause us pain, and we start to say, this is hurting me. I got to stop doing this. And then we have to start with the athletic thinking of St. Paul. And those two things I'm going to put in the link below is Corinthians and Timothy. 1 Corinthians, see, I want to memorize these. 1 Corinthians 9:24 through 26, 2 Timothy 2:5. So, this when you often hear when men do homilies, whether it's priests or deacons, they will bring up athletic training of some sort, which I always love, because I haven't had a father in my life or as much male, which is why I love the priests, and I love to hear their especially the high level available that we have, like EWTN and
Father Mike on YouTube.
and the more that, yeah, YouTube, but it's EWTN a lot. I don't have EWTN live. I only have it on app and YouTube. So, but the thing is that it as we do more discipline, like it says here, it gets easier and you understand things, and you really notice it when you go through a suffering period, because that suffering jumps you up a level. I mean, there are thousands and thousands of levels, and you feel it when you jump a level, because all of a sudden things make sense. It's like any skill. A spiritual skill is a skill, and it is a training, and when you stick to it every day, you begin to hear from God. Like yesterday, I had an important message I sent to Jeanette. I'm not going to share here, but yeah, it's interesting how you begin to hear from God when you are focused on your on disciplining your prayer life and your
Exactly.
yeah, and whatever it is that you're studying. So, but anyway, I froze again. So anyway, that was a good reading today, huh?
Yeah, very good, very motivating. Yeah,
We needed that, didn't we?
yeah, we really did.
And I know all of the listeners.
I was debating, am I gonna go to mass or just go at the end and do the rosary?
No,
Um,
you're
and
going.
I'm gonna go to mass now that
Yep.
they said that.
Yep. God cleared the way for you. And that's what we're
Just half an hour, it's just half an hour.
yeah, I mean, I'm telling you, I'm going every day to daily mass down. I'm like, why the heck didn't I start this years ago? Remember when you were going and you
I
fell
was
out
going
of it?
every day.
You got used to it, and now
What
you
happened?
fell out of it. And guess what? We are going to able, when you take on something new, it sometimes knocks you off balance, which is why you have to be careful taking on something new and respect your prayer practice, respect your God. I mean, he gives us 24 hours in a day. We can give him half an hour. You know, he gives
That's
us
true.
24 hours. We can give him half. And remember, mass is to worship. It's not for us. It is to worship him. I'm reading this book, and I'll put a link in here about the mass and the meditation before mass. And oh my gosh, it's so good. It's so good. Now I'm at the altar as table. And oh, this book is just,
Yeah, it's, it's a lot of little things that happen in the mass that we forget about. Like,
yes.
when you bring up the gifts, when somebody comes and brings up the gifts, what they're actually doing is they're leaving all the burdens, everything,
Yes.
giving it to God. They're bringing it to him. And that's so important. Oh my goodness. And then in return, Jesus grabs it and he gives himself to us.
Yes.
And so
The
that is the part of the
symbolism.
communion. He's giving himself to us so we can be with each other. That's why
Now,
it's called
every time
communion.
you go up, I want you to hear what Jeanette is saying right now. And that's what we have to do when we are in mass. We can't be thinking about, oh, we're going to go here when I'm done to breakfast. Oh,
Yeah,
I'm
that's what I
worried
always
about
think.
being distracted.
Yeah.
That's what this book, Meditations in Mass, is helping me with. Stay focused in mass. I am always focused because I am finally at a time in my life where finally it's me time. You know, you're not quite there, Jeanette. Your kids are a little younger. My younger daughter is very mature in many ways, and she's like, I don't have to worry about her. I do have to talk to them every day, but I don't have the daily struggles like that you have with cooking and, because you're mom and I don't have a husband. So I could put my all into this. And I'm telling you, it's so beautiful to have my time to focus on mass, to focus on going to every day. And you're learning to work it into your responsibilities, which is hard to do when you have little kids. But your kids are older now, and you still have your husband and your mom, but you're working it into your daily, which is a discipline, and you're doing it. You're doing it, and I'm proud of you.
Not all the time, but I'm trying.
But
At least
you're
I'm here, guys.
trying.
I'm here.
But you're trying.
Yeah.
That's the point. You're
Yeah.
trying. So that's all we can do every day, guys,
Yes.
and for every little thing you do for training, if you just get up and lift a little bit of weight for a little bit, you tell yourself, good job. And you keep
Yeah.
giving yourself positive, not negative. Discipline should not be negative. It should be positive because it's going to be a positive outcome. And you have to remember that when it feels hard, you have to say, this is a good thing.
And
So
every day, guys, every day is a new day, is a new beginning every day.
let me
So,
just finish that. That's right. But when we flip things, when we stop looking at the world and we flip things and we start to say, what is good, and what, not what is good is evil, what is evil is good. When you flip that and you remember what is good, instead of thinking what is good is your addictions and your suffering, which Satan wants, and you think, no, this is good. This self-discipline is good. And you start to, instead of think of it in a negative sense, that you think of it, this is a good thing, you will do it more and more and more. And just doing it every day, giving yourself positive affirmation about it. And then, like Jeanette said, you restart every day. When you fall off the horse, don't start beating yourself up. Say, oh, I got to get back up on that horse again. That's what my mom taught me. And I'm grateful she did, because she was a smoker her whole life. I smoked till I was 21. Then I did a little bit in my 30s, like for about a year and a half in my 30s. But each time I would quit, the year and a half was divided up with months at a time, because I would say, I got to quit this again. And I kept trying and trying. And I saw my mother, and And guess what? If I hadn't done that, I would be on oxygen now, like my mom was at my age. And I am so grateful that I was in my 20s dealing with all the stress of my kids and, divorce and being alone and facing so much fear and bills and, moves and all that. And I'm so grateful that I did that discipline back then of quitting smoking, quitting the bad things. And I needed that discipline of at least, I wasn't taking care of my health, but I wasn't smoking. So whatever little thing you can do toward your spiritual life, if it's 15 minutes a day, like the St. Ignatius, do that. And then pat yourself on the back and say, I'm proud of you. Tell yourself, mother yourself, father yourself, love yourself. You have St. Joseph as your father to tell you, look up 100 quotes by him and have them on your refrigerator. So every time you do good, my father said this, I did this good. Then look up Mary. Mary doesn't have quotes, but look up Mary as her, you can show as her going through what you're going through and being disciplined. We can do this, guys, every day, little by little, step by step. So don't forget to do your rosary.
So today's the word is discipline. So ponder on that, guys. And don't forget to pray your rosary. And we will see you back tomorrow, God willing.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Bye.